What is up, everybody? We are back with the pizza topping tier list, and I'm joined by Don Bone Jones.
Yeah, I'm very Italian, so I know my pizza quite well.
Yeah, so
So,
I see a lot of toppings here. I think they all have like a niche. At the very least, I think everything here has a niche place in the meta. I don't see anything. There's like maybe one or two things that could be unviable, but I think everything here seems pretty solid in the tier.
yeah, there were a lot of things that I was looking around, looking, what I could include in this. There were a lot of things that were more unviable than not, so I had to trim a lot of the fat, and so we're left with a lot of very iconic toppings for pizza. So,
Yeah,
here we go.
that's very fair. And if you see a topping or if you think of a topping that's not here, just comment it below, and I will like write an analysis on where I would place it on the list, and like I'll reply to
No,
you.
that just means it's not relevant. What do you mean?
No, I got that because maybe we could overlook things. Like it happens sometimes. But starting off, we have chicken. What are your thoughts on chicken on pizza?
Okay, so I prepared. Well, I didn't write anything down, but I have a very good argument for chicken. Anyone who's tasted barbecue chicken pizza will back me up on this. It's very good. A good chicken pizza, it's almost better than like a sausage pizza. I'm not a huge chicken fan myself, but it goes so well with the pizza that I think it's solid A tier, maybe even S tier if you want to go that far.
See, my thoughts on chicken is think about all the variety that chicken brings. You have barbecue chicken pizza, you have buffalo chicken pizza, you have chicken alfredo pizza, you have chicken on regular pizza. It just goes on so many different play styles that I feel like at high A is fair, and then we can maybe move it up
Yeah.
to S depending.
Super versatile.
Super
It,
versatile.
it really could be S if it wanted to.
We'll leave it at A for now.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
circle back to that.
we'll see. Yeah, we can come back. We can come back. So next we have bacon, and my thoughts on bacon personally. Not the actually not personally as a topping. My thoughts on bacon as a topping. By the way, for context, Don made this tier list, and instead of getting an image of bacon, he got an image of my friend Bacon's profile picture. So yeah, that's the lore behind that. So, but yeah, my opinion on bacon is I think it's overrated. I really do. I think it's a really solid topping, but I think that people act like it's like some godsend of a topping.
Yeah, I agree. It's not bad on pizza necessarily, but it's held back simply by the fact that it faces so much really strong competition from, all of the meats that can go on pizza that I think it's really hard for bacon to find a solid place. It has a niche, but I don't think it would be, even touching A in my opinion.
Okay, so I don't know if it's that low, dude. I don't know. I think we could slot it in B for now. I think that's fair.
Yeah. I think high B is fair because again, it does taste pretty good on pizza, but again, it's just really hard to make work when there's so many other
And
options.
there's not too many combos where you're like, oh, I really wish I had bacon on this too.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas when you have chicken, it's like, oh, I could put chicken, I could put, all these things. I think I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, now we have a classic, an absolute banger
Pepperoni.
of a topping.
Absolute S tier. Don't even need to
Yeah, I mean,
discuss.
it's iconic. Like, if you think of pizza, you're like immediately you're either thinking like cheese or pepperoni. Like that's just like pepperoni is pizza. Like it's just a part of the branding. It really is. And I think it's viable on almost any play style. It could go well with any of these toppings on the list. It could pair well with pretty much anything, other than maybe chicken. I don't know if I'd want chicken pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, I mean sometimes doubling up on the meats is a
Well, I
little
mean,
bit strange, but
there's a niche for that. I mean, you got the meat lovers pizza. I know a lot of people
right.
can get behind that.
Yeah, true. And yeah, I mean I just pepperoni works well with so much, like you said. There's really not a lot that hasn't been said already. It's just amazing, easy S tier.
Easily, yeah. Now we have basil. What are your thoughts on basil?
So, I enjoy me a good classic Italian pizza. A good margarita pizza. You can have, your tomatoes, your your goat cheeses or whatever. But without a good basil, it's not gonna bring out the flavor as much. I think a good basil, super underrated, but it brings together a lot of classic pizza flavors. Um, like specifically Italian style. You're not gonna use this on like American pizzas like you'd find at Domino's or whatever. But I think it can really work well and bringing it together a lot of in bringing together specific play styles, right? Those
Yeah,
classic.
I think it absolutely sorry, it absolutely does have a place on the meta while being a little bit niche. I think B for Basil is really good. Maybe like low B to high C. That's where I'd put it because it can work, but like you said, it's only on that specific type, and like you're not gonna be putting this on every pizza ever.
Right. I could argue for high B just because, if you're making a classic Italian pizza, you're probably going to be using basil, so it's almost mandatory on that. But if you put it low B, I don't know if we're ordering this, within the tiers or not, but I would argue for high B. But I
Okay,
think B
okay.
is a good place for it.
I think bacon should be above basil personally. So
Okay.
that's where I stand on it. Um so now we have broccoli. Broccoli's a weird one. So broccoli can go on pizza, right? But the thing is, it's so very, very niche. I think there's like one time I've ever had broccoli on pizza and it was chicken Alfredo pizza. And that it hit. It was really good. And it was really nice having like a green on the pizza to balance out the chicken, the Alfredo sauce, just like make it less full. It was like it was nice. It was a nice addition. Um, However, broccoli by itself or on any other kind of pizza, I think it's pretty unviable. Um, but it does have that niche. So I'm really thinking like unviable to low C because it does have that one niche, but I feel like you could replace this with something else even within that play style, and it would be fine, you know.
Yeah, I think broccoli, it's kind of like a counter team. It's not exactly, you really have to, know exactly what you're getting into. Otherwise broccoli just is never a safe pick, and there's, just about anything else would work. It's really just a counter team. If you put it on an unviable, I get it, but yeah, low C unviable, I definitely agree with.
All right, all right, all right. Next up, we got the bell peppers. So my thing with peppers, I think supreme pizza is great. I think it's an underrated pizza kind like type. Um, However, I don't see too much usage in it.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I like bell peppers a lot by themselves. I think they're great, but in pizzas, you kind of have to have the right bell pepper because like there's a bunch of different varieties of bell pepper which have their own tastes. But I think the key to making bell pepper work on a pizza is to not put too many things on that pizza with the bell peppers. You can't put like, you know, olives and bell peppers and like, five other things on the pizza. You're just going to drown out the bell peppers and they're not going to contribute much. But with one or two toppings, then you're really going to get something special out of bell peppers, I think.
Right, right. So I honestly think that it's like you're never gonna like complain about having bell peppers on a pizza, but you're not really gonna miss them either. So I'm thinking like C, like mid to high
Um
C.
yeah, we could circle back on that. I think you could make an argument for B, but yeah, I think C is fine for now.
I just don't think they have enough usage to like be in the same tier as bacon and basil right now. Well, yeah, we can circle
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
So now we have anchovies, and I have never had anchovies on pizza. So have you done or
I have. I would say it's pretty unviable. I
really?
like
Okay.
a lot of people have tried to make it work. It's almost just become a meme of like, oh, anchovies on pizza, haha. But it just speaks to how absolutely unusable they are. They never make a pizza better. I mean, at best, they'll make it, more neutral.
Yeah, because
Whatever that
I've had
means.
anchovies. I just could not imagine them on pizza. I really couldn't. Like I don't know
There,
what
I can
Scooby
speak
and
from experience.
yeah.
It's like they're never going to be brought to tournament play. You just will never see it in any serious setting.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean like Scooby and Shaggy, they're like very firm believers on the anchovies on pizza, and it's like it almost makes me want to move it up, but it's like like some people just like get hard stuck in their ways, and like it has nothing to do with the people, but people have preferences, and sometimes people are wrong. It is what it is. Um, Next up we have feta cheese, and you like got the most grotesque image of feta cheese I've ever seen in my entire life.
Look, it was either that or I give like some feta cheese brand a plug. Like
Oh, true,
that was the
true.
only
Yeah, we
option.
can't be doing that. We can't be doing that.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I want to say this right now. Pepperoni spinach feta or bacon spinach feta. One of those two. They're both my like favorite pizza of all time. I love feta on pizza. I think it's great.
Interesting. Yeah, I think feta is amazing. Like a lot of people will kind of dunk on the cheese on cheese kind of pizza, saying it's too much or whatever. But I think especially if your pizza isn't as, for lack of a better term, heavy, right? If it's like a lighter pizza, so to speak, I think feta cheese works really well and it complements so many flavors. It's kind of like chicken where it's super versatile, and anyone who's had it on a pizza will know what I'm talking about. But unless you've had it, you don't really know just how good it is. I would say it's pretty similar to chicken. I'd put it A tier.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. So now we got Wario with garlic. Is this just like actually like putting like cloves of garlic on pizza? Is that like what we're talking about here, or like what's the?
No, we're talking. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about like minced garlic or crushed up garlic, right? Just bits of garlic put on pizza.
I've never
Again,
had
this is
that, but at the same time, like garlic is good. I know that, so it's like I can imagine what it would be like.
yeah. I mean, garlic's one of those things. Like, I mean, you know what it's gonna do every time it's brought to a match. Like, on team preview, you're not really gonna be surprised. You expecting something on team preview and it does something else. Actually on the pizza, but it just, again, this is another case of like working really well on those Italian classic pizzas. It really just helps bring out the flavor, kind of like basil, but it provides a very distinctive taste, and it helps give the pizza a bit stronger of a flavor, which I think can really go a long way in a lot of pizzas.
Okay. So where are you thinking of putting it?
This is a bit tough because again, this doesn't really work on all kinds of pizzas. Um, Honestly, I would put it high B,
High B.
like definitely above basil, in my opinion.
All right. I
You
don't.
could you could go either way with bacon, but yeah,
I'm a firm believer in bacon, even if I do think it's overrated. I think B tier might be a little bit low even, but I think top of B is justifiable.
okay, fair enough.
So so now we have ham, which I I don't get the reference, I guess, but
Dude, the people will get the reference, I
the
promise.
people will get the reference. All right. So ham, I think it's good. I think it's good. I think it's solid. My thing with ham is just when am I ever gonna be like, I really want a ham pizza, or like when would I choose that over another meat? That's my thing with ham.
Yeah, like it's the same case with like bacon, where it just faces so much competition, and it while yeah, I believe it does have some unique qualities. Again, it's just hard to justify over your pepperonis. Now there are some certain types of pizzas which we'll get to in a bit where ham can fit nicely on, but I just think it's too pizza specific. It doesn't really fit on every type of structure, like
There's
your
better
feta cheese.
options.
Like yeah, I mean they're just better options. That's really it. Um, so I mean, it does taste good when it's done well. It's kind of got a high skill floor, high skill ceiling kind of thing.
Right, right.
It really takes the right person to use it, and when it's done right. So I'm not exactly sure where to put this. I want to say B, but the B tier looks to be
Yeah,
getting,
the B tier
a
is kind
bit
of stacked.
large.
I think
Yeah,
high C is good for ham. I feel like it's just like a downgrade of bacon in every way almost.
interesting. That's an interesting thought. Yeah, I think I don't think they're necessarily substitutes for each other, right?
No, not
They have
necessarily,
their own
but
niches
uh,
on different kinds of pizzas, but
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. All right,
yeah.
now we
So I
have.
mean,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
now we have Hamburg pizza, which I am kind of torn on because again, like you said, the meat department just has a lot of competition. However, it's so solid. Like pepperoni Hamburg pizza, that's just like that's a solid pizza. But I don't know if that's like more of pepperoni just being super versatile and like kind of carrying it, or if that's like Hamburg standing in its own right.
that's a very good point. Like they have a lot of synergy, but how much does Hamburg really bring on its own, right? How much does it actually contribute in a vacuum? I think I think there's a lot of good points you can make for it. But did we do sausage? Oh no, we didn't do sausage yet. Yeah, it's very similar to sausage. So I mean, then you face even more issue with, well, it doesn't really matter which one you use. They're going to taste mostly the same, and most people won't be able to tell the difference. And that's, I think, a huge blow to its viability. Especially in the current pizza meta that's dominated by your Domino's, your Papa John's, all that kind of stuff. So it's really hard to say honestly just what it even does on its own.
Yeah, I mean that's really fair. I honestly think like either like I honestly think behind bell peppers. Oh,
That's really interesting.
I'm like torn between these two. I
Yeah,
guess
it's just really hard to say because you don't really know what hamburger pizza does on its own.
I think I would tie them, except I think that if I'm in the case of a tie, I'm gonna look at it in the case of if I could have one topping on a pizza and I had to choose between the two, that's the one I'd pick. I'd rather have a hamburger pizza than a bell pepper pizza. So I
Okay.
think that's how I'll put that ahead.
Okay, that makes sense.
So one thing I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit because you mentioned sausage. You think that sausage is very similar to Hamburg? I actually entirely disagree. I think sausage is an amazing topping on pizza, and especially where we didn't like change like differentiate different kinds of sausage. You have like the sweet sausage that's like the more hamburger shaped, and then you have like the spicy sausage in the little circles. And oh my god, it's so good on so many different play styles. I'm a huge sausage believer.
Wow, that's really interesting. I mean, if you want to place it, high enough, like, more power to you. But this is just personal preference. I'm not a huge sausage guy in general. So, I mean, I I personally think it goes fine on pizza, but you know, like we said time and time again, there's just better options when you're looking at a meat.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be okay with high B at that point.
Okay.
Um, all right, now now you now we're on mushrooms, and I also have a very strong opinion on mushrooms. It's just not a good one. It's just really
All right,
bad.
let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I think putting mushrooms on anything just inherently makes it worse. I just think I don't get it. I don't get the hype behind mushrooms at all. I'm open to your opinion, but I think mushrooms are terrible. I think they're awful.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion you kind of need to prepare the mushrooms in advance. Like this might sound kind of weird, but if you saute the mushrooms, I guess this sounds weird depending on, who exactly you are, but if you saute the mushrooms before putting them on the pizza, I think that brings out a lot of the flavor. And sure, that's not for everyone, but I think on certain archetypes that really complements other toppings super well. Like I think like a mushroom and pepperoni, and it's not even just because pepperoni is really good, but I think they work together so well. The mushroom helps bring out the pepperoni, and the pepperoni helps bring out the mushroom. So I think it's definitely not a good standalone topping, so I would understand not putting it in A, but I think it does a lot. It brings a lot to certain cores, especially like offensive cores, that you could definitely make a case for high B.
Okay.
But if it's your preference, not to put it in B, then
Okay, well,
whatever.
this is an unbiased tier list, and so because if this was like if this was my viability rankings based on my opinions, it's going straight right here. It just is. However, I'm okay with I'm okay with like somewhere like I'm okay with this, to be honest.
Okay,
This is as high as I'm willing to place it.
yeah, I'll meet you halfway
All
there.
right, all
That's
right.
it's
I would much
understandable.
rather have basil on my pizza. I'd rather have garlic. Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right. Next up, we have pineapples. So, um, this
All
is
right,
another
here's the
very
engagement gate.
this is another very divisive one.
Yes.
I am not a pineapple enjoyer. I'll put that out there right now. I don't think pineapple
Okay.
belongs on pizza. However, it does have an occult following. It has people who are dedicated to that playstyle that will not play anything else. and maybe they'll add like ham or something in. But I don't think I could justify putting it in an unviable because of how many people um really enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay. Personally, this is just my opinion. I think I'm the only person in the world who's neutral about pineapple on pizza. Like, I'll eat it if it's there. I don't really care one way or another. Um, However, I do think, you know, if unless it's like fresh pineapple, it's not great on pizza. You really have to know what you're doing. You have to pair it with certain things. Like it does fit on it's another one of those toppings that really fits on certain styles. And I understand why it has a very occult following.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but again, there's another case to be made about, the sweet and the savory, right? That's a whole thing, and that's very understandable. I could, just because of how divisive it is, just because of, you know, that whole polarization, I would put it high C, low B.
High C low B. I think I could justify putting it right next to its friend ham. I think
Okay.
this is fine. Because
Yeah,
I do
they
think
definitely go hand in hand.
I think ham goes on more play styles as well than pineapple does. So, I would say though, if you are a pineapple enjoyer, like play what you like to play. So, don't like just because we don't think it's an S tier topping doesn't mean you can't like use it on the ladder or like bring
Of
it to a
course, of
tour or whatever
course.
you want to do.
Right,
Um,
I mean,
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is
good adventure.
just our opinion on the. This is our objectively true uh tier list, but it is also our opinion on the viability ranking. So if you want to be wrong and use pineapple, then you can go ahead and do that.
Right, of course. No one's stopping you. We won't judge.
All right, next up we have onions.
Yeah. So, personally, I'm not super experienced in using onions on pizza. That's just never a style I've explored. But I've tried it once or twice, and it was all right. The My problem with onions on pizza, you don't really. I mean, this could be for better or worse depending on who you ask, but you don't really get that onion flavor. And I think onions in a lot of dishes help bring out the flavor overall. Like, in a good chili, you put in onions to bring out the meat and the beans, right? Pizza is the same, right? It's really hard to taste to let the onions accentuate the rest of the pizza. So it's really hard to you can justify it, but making it work in practice is a lot harder, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair take. I think that it does have some niche play styles. I think on like pulled pork pizza or barbecue chicken pizza, I think like anything with like a tangy taste, I think onions really shine and that's like their best play style for sure. So I wouldn't say they're unviable or like completely like unusable. I would say they're probably somewhere in the C tier. Probably
Yeah,
behind
and
bell peppers to be honest.
yeah, I mean, in summary, right? They fit on a lot of really good styles, but on their own in a vacuum, or like, on paper or whatever, they don't do much as a standalone topping, which is really the main issue holding them back. I mean, when the DLC does drop, I would like to see some innovation and, some changes in how onions affect the metagame. But for now, yeah, low C is pretty accurate.
All right, so next up we have olives, and I actually have an expert in olives to join us. Lem, this is your favorite pizza topping. So what are your thoughts on olives?
Unviable. Undeniably, I would have to say that it is unviable. Not only is it generally one of the most disgusting things without being on a pizza, it being on a pizza, I feel like just completely ruins it, takes away from the flavor of the cheese, the sauce, everything about the pizza, because the flavor is just so strong and overpowering that it just ruins the whole plate completely.
So have you had like Greek pizza with like Greek olives on it?
Yes.
Okay,
Hey,
and
olives.
you still feel that way? You know what? Fair enough. What are your thoughts, Don?
Okay, that's a rather strong opinion.
Yeah.
Um, so I personally like olives quite a bit. But I I do think, yeah, they're pretty specific to certain styles. I mean, they can be seen on some like rain balance teams, but if you want to make them work on a supreme pizza, that's definitely their best environment. Outside of that, they don't really get a lot of chances to shine, and anything other than that is just kind of a matchup fish. And like if you put them in on viable, I understand, right? Because again, yeah, I mean, if
You
you
know
want to
what?
make the niche
I
tier,
think
right?
I think I have to agree with you there. I think I can see it being on something like a supreme pizza just because of the conjoinments of ingredients, the assortments, just everything. It just like takes away from the olives a little bit, so you don't notice it as much. It just ends up being overall okay. It's not the best,
Yeah,
it's not the worst, but it's
it's
not
not
like
overpowering at all.
it doesn't ruin it on supreme pizza. But if you're putting it on a plain pizza by itself, I just think it's not gonna work.
Oh no, like, by itself, like when it's trying to be the star of the show, absolutely terrible. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So lastly, we have my boy Popeye with the spinach. Again, I'm a very big spinach believer. It's on my favorite pizza combo. However, I am willing to, accept that maybe it's not the
Honestly,
greatest topping in the world when it comes to versatility. I think it does have its place in the meta. By the way, the best strat for using spinach, you put it under the cheese and it'll like cook better and not like be awful. But
yeah.
that's just my experience with it.
Another point that I would like to bring up about this, because I just recently went to a very fancy Italian restaurants, and they have they serve these whole pizzas like as a like dish for one person. You know what I'm saying? Like those really flat pizzas,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
and they put like the spinach and stuff like that, and you're supposed to put like oregano and things like that on it, and it actually ended up pretty well because of the type of pizza. I think it definitely has a place in its meta where it's very good in its specific tier. I just don't think it has the versatility overall to be able to compete with some of these high ranks.
That's fair. That's fair. What are your thoughts, Don?
So of all of these 17 toppings, spinach is the one that I've actually never had on pizza.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Brady just told me to include it in the viability rankings, so I did.
All right.
But I I do know, I've seen spinach work well in other like cuisine. Like I've seen it like in a good enchilada cream sauce that works really well because it helps just complement other flavors. Again, it's one of those things that you won't really see standalone be good, but it's not really meant to do that. That's not what its build is meant for. So I'm very willing to try spinach on pizza, but I think it does have to be the right context. Yeah.
I
Indeed.
absolutely I refuse to have spinach below mushrooms. That just won't ever happen in this world.
Oh, absolutely.
That's fair.
Mushrooms are just honestly not for me either.
So Lem, you joined us late. What are your thoughts on our tier list? We got pepperoni in S tier.
Oh, of
Honestly,
course.
we could almost move chicken up. I feel like.
The
Oh,
thing
but
with
he is
having
so like empty though too.
the thing with me about having pepperoni S tier is personally, I completely agree, of course, right? But the issue with the meta of pepperoni is that there's so many like vegan, vegetarian people and
Well,
just
they could suck my
religious,
nuts.
like people that can't
True.
eat pork due to religion and things like that,
That's
so they
fair.
can't
No,
have
that's fair.
pepperoni and things like that. So I just think like overall, it's not the
Well,
most
then at that point they're playing
versatile.
a different format, you know. They
That's true.
so this is a pizza topping tier list. If you want to have a vegan, vegetarian, or whatever kind of like tier list you want, you could definitely make that format and make your own viability rankings. These are like
Okay.
for
So
the
we're going straight
general
off of
general
yeah,
population of the like
understood.
average
Okay.
person.
So if we're talking about straight up generally just anybody that could eat all of these, I completely agree with the
Yeah,
S tier for pizza pepperoni.
yeah, 100%.
Chicken A tier, I think it's nice. I think chicken A tier is where it belongs. I can't see it being S tier just because of the lack of usage, you know?
Yeah,
It just
yeah, I can agree with that. I think it's extremely versatile and it's really good when it's on pizza. But I think that pepperoni just has such a high usage rate. It's hard to
yeah,
put anything next to it.
Yeah.
exactly.
If anything, I'd say chicken's just a little bit underexplored. Like, I mean, barbecue chicken pizza, like really that's
Oh,
yeah,
so
and
good.
chicken Alfredo, I guess. Those are the only
Well,
ones that have really
buffalo
been
chicken.
and buffalo
Buffalo
chicken
chicken.
pizza.
Yep.
Those are the only ones that have really been
Yeah.
explored, and
I think
even those don't see as much usage
yeah.
in upper level play. I would love to see more people willing to explore with chicken, but it definitely has a lot of potential.
Yeah,
So
I
maybe
think
not S, but I agree. I agree with A.
it's a really good ingredient, has potential to be S, but I just think the meta right now is too set, and it just hasn't really gotten the chance to shine in the meta.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
again, it's probably another one of those things where it's like once the DLC drops, I think chicken becomes a lot better. So we'll have to see how that shakes out.
100%.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that stands out to you, or that you don't know what it is because of the
I
image?
I don't know what's next to chicken,
Oh, this is feta cheese.
Feta cheese. Yeah.
but it's cheese.
How's
Okay,
that the one you're confused about?
because I can't see it on
Yeah,
my screen.
it's probably small. Yeah.
I'm assuming the B tier is sausage.
Yeah, this is sausage and then bacon.
Oh, baconator. I actually really like bacon.
Our okay,
Well,
so our justification with bacon and sausage and pretty much every other meat is just there's so much competition in
yeah,
in the meat
absolutely.
for to put the meat like on your roster. So it's not that it's bad. It's just like it's hard to fit.
What are we classifying like Canadian bacon as? Because
We didn't really do
I like
that.
ham. You know what I'm saying?
We
I
just
feel like
didn't dabble in
I
that.
feel like Canadian bacon is definitely up there in usage,
Yeah.
but
All right.
I
so
mean, it's an absolute staple on meat lovers. It brings it all
yeah,
together.
I
I
almost
mean,
want to
honorable
say
mention.
I almost want to say it's above sausage, honestly.
if
I
we're
mean, if we are counting Canadian bacon, it's an easy A.
yeah,
Yeah,
and one thing I wanted to bring up is breakfast pizza. It's a niche, but
True.
bacon is like the only topping you can put on that. It's so good.
Yeah,
spinach.
So,
I agree.
well, yeah, spinach too. But I'm saying like bacon's like the main topping most of the times, like eggs,
So
bacon, spinach. I think A tier because of just that one niche breakfast
is
pizza
Wario
really.
mushrooms,
Wario is garlic.
garlic. Yeah, there's so much you could do with garlic, garlic sauces, garlic, like so many powders, like
Yeah, 100%.
seasonings. I think that's a good tier for it because it's not for everybody, but it's so versatile, and when it does hit, it hits well. Next to that is
Basil.
basil. Yeah, basil's a staple. It's a necessity to have in Italian restaurants, so specifically they have it as toppings. I think it's very good. Mushrooms. I'll agree with the tier here. It's mid, but it's not the best. It's
Mushrooms can
honestly
burn.
just there. I don't. I honestly strongly dislike mushrooms, but on pizza, I feel like mushrooms are only on again Supreme pizzas, and then when it's on Supreme pizzas, you don't really notice it as much. So it's just like not the worst, but it's nothing good.
Right,
So I'll keep it
absolutely.
to the standing. What is The Simpsons?
It's ham. See, Don is very confident that people are gonna get this
It's
reference,
steamed
and
ham.
he's 0 for 2 right now. He's 0 for 2.
I just don't watch The Simpsons.
Neither do I, but I know steamed hams.
Those look
I
like
don't.
burgers,
And
bro.
then the next one is pineapple, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's pineapple.
I think the pineapple deserves to be a niche tier. I think it's honestly top of niche tier for me personally, just because of its usage and
So
like,
here's the thing with that, right? So pineapple, like we said, it's fine. Like there's a huge amount of people who love pineapple and they will die, but they will die on that hill. And I think it's fine right next to ham, and I understand wanting to put it above ham, but I think ham goes on more styles than just like Hawaiian, you know? Like ham can
true.
be on meat lovers, ham can be on whatever. Whereas pineapple, you're either putting it by itself or with ham most of the time.
Yeah, I completely agree. Actually, Canadian bake, but
Okay.
just I agree with your reasoning there though. And then the rest of this tier list looks pretty solid. I don't know what the fuck the burger is.
That's just Hamburg.
Just hamburger.
Yeah.
Oh, and what's next to it?
Olives. Well, you were
Olives. I
here for this
fucking
one.
hate olives.
Yeah.
And then we
So
have broccoli and
disgusting. I
anchovies.
would
I mean,
honestly have olives for some broccoli personally. For we have to be reasonable. I think bell peppers is actually a really solid pick.
yeah, I think bell peppers is a little low here. I can agree with
I
that.
think it's a little low, but I think it's a really solid. I think I would have it honestly above pineapples and ham, just because it's so overall good usage, and it's just like it doesn't take away from the dish. If anything, it adds to it because most peppers are just juicy. They don't have too much flavor to like take away anything from it. It just adds that little bit of mwah to it, you know?
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
100% fair.
Yeah, I agree. You know, that's a very good point. Like it's putting bell pepper on pizza at the very worst, it's just not gonna add anything, right?
Right.
Indeed.
So I mean, its niche is mainly just it's not niche because it tastes bad on certain playstyles, but it's because a good amount of the time it doesn't add anything, but when it does, it's really valuable.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
All
And
right, is
then
that? Oh,
I think that's fair. Yeah, anchovies deserves to be there at the bottom.
have you had anchovies on pizza?
I had anchovies like plainly, and I just couldn't imagine being on anything
That's
without being
fair.
disgusting.
That's fair. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Again, if you have any toppings that we did not cover, comment them below and I'll write an analysis on them. And yeah, subscribe.
Peace.